Three, two, one, action. Hey guys, what's up? Move Your Body today here, Fitaye podcast host with Coach Bryan Dowie. Here to talk about lifestyle, fitness, and health. For those of you who don't know, the Fitaye mobile app is for scheduling, bookings, and payments and protects coaches through its cancellation policy. So I hope you guys enjoy the chat today. I'll let you introduce yourself a little bit before we kick off.
Okay, thanks. Um, I'm Bryan Dowie. I'm a fitness coach. I have been certified as a fitness coach for about 12 years now, maybe even more than that. And I've been in and out for a number of years. I've worked at a university as a college lecturer. I was working as a college lecturer for a while, and now I'm coming back to fitness training a little bit more. And I spent the last couple of years building myself up, working with more and more people in the fitness training game.
Nice, nice. So kicking off with the first question, where did you grow up?
I am Hong Kong, born and raised.
Nice.
Been here for 35 years now.
Okay. Could you give us like a little bit of like where you studied and like what did you study and like how did you get into coaching?
Okay. I have grew up in Hong Kong, like I said.
Yeah.
I studied in international school.
Nice.
And my academic background is not actually fitness related. I went to college and I studied history and I studied
nice.
American studies as a tag along.
Yeah.
And after I then did my PGDE for teaching, and then after a couple of years I got a master's in business just in case I decided to go work in the business world.
Yeah.
Even though I think it was always unlikely that I was ever going to do that, but
Well,
I did that.
Well, you technically are still in business with like coaching and stuff. It's pretty much like running a business, you know, everything relates back and like kind of feeds in. So it's like always helpful to have that knowledge.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
I think that everything has helped to get me to where I am. If I think about stuff, I can always go back and say, oh, that was quite helpful to what I'm doing now. Like you said, it is running a business as well. And definitely some things that have come up in the business course are useful today. And so that's where that's sort of my academic background. I started, I got certified as a coach or as a personal trainer when I was 21. I think it was the first time 21 or 22. And I've just always picked up and kept up with fitness on the side of all of that other stuff.
Could you give a little bit of information on like the certification and how that process was?
I did NASM. I did NASM in 2000. I did NASM in 2000 and whatever it was when I was 21.
Okay.
And then I went away and I did PTA Global, which then got bought out by NASM again. So then I went back to NASM again. And I've done a little bit of a lot of stuff over the years. I did my precision nutrition when they were first starting out.
Okay, what's that?
Precision nutrition is a certification that it doesn't make me a nutrition expert and it doesn't make me a nutritionist. It makes me a coach who has knowledge about nutrition for fitness, I think you can say, right? So if someone very early on, we draw the line. If you have an eating problem or a disorder or something like that, whatever you want to call it, I'm not qualified to tell you how to do that, and I'm not qualified to give meal plans. But I guess what the certification says is that I am someone who is knowledgeable about how nutrition affects your training.
Like usually give like just tips and stuff, while if someone has like actual questions, at least you have this basically foundation of knowledge to provide them with a bit more insight. Okay, so second question, what age did you start lifting? Let's take your time.
So that's quite a funny story, I suppose. Like you, I was a soccer player in secondary school, and I had my first big injury when I was about 16. And what it was that during the game, basically, some guy stamped on the top of my foot, and with the studs and everything, my foot ballooned up and it became, really swollen. And for the first time in my life, I couldn't do any training. And I was too young to know that, well, then that means you can still go to the gym and you can still do other stuff. So I thought, like, I was injured, so I'm not doing anything. And basically, I became fat.
Oh, shit.
Like, for the first time in my life, because you don't think about it when you're young.
It just happens,
You you just work
Just
out all your
enjoying.
like football all the time,
Yeah.
football all the time. So you're lean or skinny or whatever.
Yeah.
And suddenly I got fat. And when I was like 17, my dad was like, "You've become fat." We were going to the gym, so he brought me to the gym, and it wasn't lifting.
Yeah.
I wouldn't call it lifting. Like I wasn't necessarily knowledgeable.
Yeah.
But it was the gym. It was a routine, and he was like, he gave me 8 really basic exercises. He said, just come to the gym and do this 2-3 times a week. And yeah, so that was at 17, and then.
What were those like exercises for those that are maybe like in that position where they're in high school trying to break into fitness? Even if it's just really basic, like what did he start you off with?
So it was at KCC,
Yeah.
and it was just dependent on what was there, and there wasn't even there was a bench press, but there was a Smith machine at the time, just a pure up and down Smith machine.
Yeah.
And he was like, do the Smith machine, chest press.
Okay.
I couldn't even move the bar.
Yeah.
He was like, you do 4 sets of 12, and I couldn't move the bar.
Yeah.
For 4 sets of 12. Planks, side planks, the leg press, the Smith machine chest press,
yeah.
Some kind of pull down, some kind of seated row, and some shoulder press on the machine, all machine stuff. All stuff he was like, let's just go and use that machine and just do it.
Is he quite like into fitness as well?
My dad works on more than I do. My dad goes to the gym like 6 days a week, 7 days a week.
That's awesome.
And does something.
So I guess it rubs off.
yeah, definitely. I remember
like that culture.
Being a kid, and on his days off, like Sunday, he would go to the gym where we used to live. Yeah. And if my mom was out doing something, he would just kind of bring me along. One of those small residential gyms where no one's really around, so I'd just be in there, and you just
exploring.
You just you pick stuff up. You're like, this is a dumbbell. What do I do with it?
Nice. Okay, so to more recent events, how often do you gym?
It really depends.
Okay.
To be honest, I would love to say that I work out like 4 or 5 times a week, but sometimes it's more. Sometimes it's more 3, 4. Sometimes even twice. When I was working at the college and not training other people, when my schedule was a bit more fixed, so I'd have the summers off, then I really would try to train like 4 or 5 times a week, and I would call it training, where I would absolutely have to be in the gym on the day, even if I didn't feel like it. Nowadays, at the moment, because there's a bit of transition and like what's going on in my life, I just try to do something like 3, 4 times a week and try to be active. The other days, like I'll make sure that I have a walk. If I'm not working out, I'll make sure I go for a walk, or just do something where I'm not just prone and just like lying down on the couch all the time.
Okay, so I'm diving a bit into kind of like what you do and how you take care of yourself. What styles of strength training have you done?
If we go back a couple of years again, when I basically retired from any kind of soccer at 29.
Okay.
And I wasn't good like you at all. I just, like Yaoi League, amateur league football. But even that, I was, getting injured a lot, and it just wasn't worth it. And I was like, well, then what am I going to do? Yeah. And the only thing that I really enjoyed was the gym. And I was like, well, I'm going to try to get as strong as I can, whatever that means. Yeah. And I just assumed at that time that meant that you had to bench press, squat, and you had to deadlift. Right. So I guess very traditional, what I only now know as traditional powerlifting stuff. And so, I started with that. And there was a phase where I just did powerlifting. And it was, bench day, deadlift day, squat day.
So you'd break it up into 3. So Monday, bench. Wednesday squat, Monday bench, or you'd start squat on Monday and then bench Wednesday and then deadlift Friday?
Yeah, something like that. And I would do an overhead shoulder press day also with the bar. Yeah. And then do some supplementary stuff after that. But then after a while, I realized that that's a bit restrictive. Okay. I'm not, in a place where I'm ever going to compete. I'm not strong enough for that. I'm not young enough for that. Not fit enough for that. I just do everyday training. I just want to go and just be strong, just be mobile, and just be
fit.
Just be fit, just be healthy. Yeah. So now, I've moved away from the ideology that you must have barbells in your life. As much as I enjoy it because there's a technical aspect to it, I just go to the gym and just work out.
So now what are the so it's more, you moved to more accessory movements basically, using dumbbells. So what are some of your favorite kind of lifts and exercises? You could take your time.
I would still say my favorite exercise is always the barbell back squat. I still have a goal with it. I don't know if I'm necessarily moving towards that goal at the moment, but I'm not moving away from it. I love that it's very technical. What I would say is that you can't cheat a good squat. Okay. You can cheat a good deadlift.
Yeah.
You can get really ugly on it, and as long as you can haul it off the floor, you can call it a deadlift if you want to.
What's the goal, if you don't mind sharing?
When I was 29, I was like, I want to be able to squat 150 kilos.
Okay. Wait, how old are you now?
35.
Okay.
Yeah. So like 6 years ago, I was like, I had very little to no experience of squatting at all, because KCC was the only place I worked out, and there was no bar, even though a bunch of us kept saying we need a bar. When this is kind of the standard in gyms. So finally, yes, right.
Yeah.
And finally, they got a bar, and I was like, okay, I'm gonna see.
I'm gonna use
if
a
I
bar.
can do a 150 kilo squat. And I asked a friend of mine who's a PT, and I was like, is this possible?
Yeah.
And they were like, yep. And I didn't realize how difficult it was, like how long it would take.
Yeah.
It was a 100 kilo bench, 150 kg squat and dead. And the fact that I made them the same weight, the same target weight, suggests that I really didn't know much.
Yeah.
So I made 2 of those.
Nice. Congrats.
And thank you.
That's awesome.
And so there's the squat that's left. But also just because, again, you can like ugly bench, or people, lots of people do like lots of bench, right?
Yeah.
I think you can't cheat a good squat.
Yeah.
To be able to like have the weight,
get down,
control it on the way down, be mobile enough to do it, and stand it back up. You can't make an ugly squat.
How do you feel about like really deep squats? I know that's like something that a lot of like, I guess you could say, is like controversial. Some people say like, you go to 90 and that's good form. Some people say like, like ass to heels is like good form, and I've even seen some like really clean front squats from like ass straight to heels and like all the way back up. Mm-hmm. Like where's your kind of stance on that?
For the people that come and train with me, it is just you squat as low as you can go.
Yeah.
As much mobility as you are able to get. But at the end of the day, you want to have mobility through the full range of what your muscles and your body can do, and you do want to be able to, have full bending at the hip, which means sitting down almost heels to sorry, not heels, but
ass
almost sitting your ass to your heels.
Yeah. Nice.
But I don't force it on people. I don't say it's not a full squat if you don't do that.
Right. You just encourage the range of motion.
Yeah, with people that I work out, and I understand that kind of stuff takes time too.
Yeah.
A lot of people who come to me are people who don't do a lot of exercise. I think they're, I think when you're young, you want to train other athletes. You get in this mind, you're going to be like a strength and training coach for like a sports team or something.
Right.
But I get that most people who work out are just general population.
Just trying to get fit.
Just trying to be healthy.
Yeah, just trying to be healthier.
And if you go from, squatting just 4 or 5 inches down to then squatting 10 inches down, that's pretty good.
That's good. Yeah, it's all relative to like where you, like it's just about progressing.
Yeah.
Okay, so supposedly 5th question, which styles of strength training do you prefer? Yeah, so that like refers to like, okay, so there's like calisthenics. Mm-hmm. There's also some people that kind of just do yoga, and that's where their strength comes from. There's also people that maybe focus just more solely on their sport. However, I guess as you go up in that, you do need to do a mobility at some stage. But yeah, what's your kind of preference?
Again, maybe because I'm a little bit older.
Yeah.
Anything that anybody does is good. If you say like, oh, I'm a calisthenics person, and that's what's going to get me out and exercising and working out, then you go for it.
Right.
But calisthenics is difficult.
It's
right?
not easy.
You got to be,
I mean, like, technically, like, push-ups and pull-ups counts as calisthenics, right? So I would say, like, once you move to, like, muscle-ups and stuff, yeah, it is tougher. But I still think, like, calisthenics is a great starting point for people. It's like, use your body weight.
Well, pull-ups are hard.
Yeah.
I'm literally taking my whole body weight, and I need to be able to, pull myself up over the bar.
Yeah.
This is a difficult thing.
Yeah.
Calisthenics, I think, is a bit of a, to do it properly,
yeah,
is a bit of a sport. in the same way that CrossFit is a sport.
Yeah.
You want to have a base to get there.
Right.
So I just do with the people that I'm with. At the start, it's just very simple strength training, resistance training, dumbbells, whatever, something safe in the gym. A lot of people can't do a push-up, and that's okay. You come from a place where they've never, tried or practiced or whatever. And a push-up is something like pushing 2/3 of your body weight, which can be a lot for a lot of people. Whereas pushing, 10-pound dumbbells in a standard chest press position is much easier.
Right. So do you use resistance bands a lot or no?
Only when we had to.
Okay.
In not isolation or lockdown or whatever we want to call it. I did a bit. Resistance bands, of course, have the drawback of the fact that it's difficult out here. Let's say I'm doing a chest press, right? Yeah. It's difficult out here, but when that time I come in here, it can be relatively easy. So I just I like iron things, I guess you can say. I like traditional tools like dumbbells and kettlebells from time to time.
Nice. Yeah, kettlebells also become increasingly popular.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what are your other sport hobbies? Take your time to drink. I don't want to
Oh, it's all good.
Like a rush at you.
No,
yeah.
No.
What are your other sport hobbies? You mentioned play football, soccer sometimes. Previously.
I have not kicked the soccer ball in I think 5 years.
In a long time. Okay. What are some other hobbies of yours?
Yeah, I do sometimes think about going back to play soccer. Just very social stuff. I did Muay Thai reasonably seriously for 5 or 6 years until I got injured playing soccer.
Yeah.
Right. So I mean, you would think that getting punched in the face would be more injurious, but actually, as well.
Yeah, football's tough. It's a lot on your hips, knees, ankles. It's a lot of load. But yeah, Muay Thai as well is it's really fun. I think it's great activity for people to break into fitness. Great activity to stay fit.
Yeah.
And builds that fundamental strength as well.
Yeah.
You can.
No, that's okay. Yeah, Muay Thai for 4 or 5 or 6 years.
So yeah, currently do you sorry I cut you off. So, yeah, Muay Thai for 5, 6 years.
And I've dabbled with some tennis. I think tennis is quite fun.
Yeah, it's fun.
But when I started when I had these goals and things, I would find that tennis would make me just very tired on this side, on my right side. And it just became, I wasn't good enough or into it enough to continue.
Yeah, it was interfering with lifting.
Yeah.
Okay.
It just became, and I had to choose a little bit.
Yeah.
But tennis is fun.
That kind of goes into the next one, which is how do you balance your other hobbies? So in that question, it would be how did you balance tennis with making sure that it didn't interfere with your lifts? Say you're playing on a Monday and you have bench on Tuesday. So how do you keep that balance and schedule?
Well, I think, like you said, you look at your schedule, or you sort of implied. I look at my schedule and I see what am I doing, and how do I make it work. So then I realize now that if I really did want to continue playing tennis, and this was the issue, whether or not I really wanted to continue playing tennis, I guess I could have done my upper body stuff on, day 1 and done tennis on day 2, and then it wouldn't really have affected, my ability to do either.
Yeah.
But then I also would have limited the amount of tennis I played, maybe just to that one day.
Right.
I would never be great at it, but it's fun.
Yeah.
It's social. You don't need a lot of people to play. Again with football.
Yeah.
You and I could just go and you just hit the ball.
Yeah. You just need to. Football's almost you need 6 to even have a 3v3.
Right. Exactly.
Okay. So the next question is, what is your morning routine?
I'm a very garbage morning person.
Okay.
Yeah. I get up to eat breakfast in time for my training session.
Oh, nice. Okay.
So
go ahead. No, go ahead.
So I get up 2 hours before my first personal training session, whatever time that is. It takes me 15 minutes to drag myself out of bed. I eat something at home, and then I drive to the gym, and then I'm at the gym and whatever.
Yeah.
If I don't have anything in the morning, like today, it was my day off, I'll sleep in until 11, maybe 12.
Nice.
Feeling extra.
That's pretty relaxing. What do you usually eat for breakfast?
I'm one of these people that I don't need a lot of variety in my food. At the moment, I have 2 eggs, and I have some turkey breast from the shop. 2 eggs, turkey breast, tomatoes, every day, forever.
Nice.
Yeah, I don't. Yeah, I don't.
That's
look for a
pretty.
lot of
That's
variety.
pretty easy. So you don't have to like think too much left and right
Yeah,
when
I
in the
don't think.
mornings.
Yeah, I
You
don't
just
think a lot.
get into
It's
it.
real easy. It's
Yeah.
ready in like 10 minutes. You
Yeah.
throw the eggs in the the frying pan. They fry. I do other stuff.
Yeah.
I'm all done in like 10-15 minutes.
Yeah. Nice. How can beginners break into fitness? I know we touched on it a bit, but I guess, yeah, just if you want to dive a bit more on like tips you could give for beginners.
I would just say do something that you like. If you like football,
Yeah.
like the idea that football it's an activity that you will keep going back to, and you say like I go from 0 exercise to 1 week of football, 1 day of football a week. That's a good start. I'm not, I think that coming to the gym is great because it can be very safe. It's very, non-weather dependent. And you can do your own thing. Like you learn the basics and then you can kind of just keep coming back and you can keep doing that. But on top of that, I wouldn't say you must come to the gym 3 times a week, 4 times a week. Just come in, just start moving, just start walking.
Yeah.
Play football,
Yeah.
play tennis, go do a Muay Thai class, like
Yeah.
you said.
Yeah.
It's really fun.
Which you can book on Fitaye.
Exactly. Nice one. Yoga, whatever it is
Yeah.
that gets you from like 0
Yeah.
to 1,
Yeah.
and then 1 to 2, then it's fine.
Nice.
I would just say that.
Okay. What do you do for injury prevention?
I stopped playing soccer.
Oh,
No.
Nice.
What do I do for injury prevention? It's true that actually I got injured a lot playing soccer. I think it's from person to person, right? Again, you play much more than I do. I just found that I was like having a lot of ankle problems from it. My body just wasn't. Maybe once you get past that young age, I just found my body just wasn't really like a good fit for it.
Yeah.
I would finish games with like a big headache afterwards.
Okay.
And all of it was just,
Not ideal.
to then be good at it. Like when you came back from college, you were and you are still super fit for football, right?
Yeah.
And I was never into it that much to do it that much.
Yeah.
So at the moment, again, the good thing about the gym is that you can do a lot and not get injured.
Right.
And I don't really think much about injuries.
Right.
Everything is pretty controlled.
Right.
I do my mobility work.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's pretty important.
What could you dive into, like what you do?
It depends very much. What do I do? It depends very much on what the person needs. If the person's got tight hips, then we'll do some tight
Oh, you mean
hip
you
stuff.
do mobility work for people?
Yeah, but then I do it for myself as well.
What do you do? Like, what kind of mobility exercise do you do for yourself?
I'm always foam rolling.
Yeah.
Foam rolling is a good one. And doing exercise is mobility training for me.
Yeah.
Like after the most recent isolation, lockdown, whatever we're calling it, right? I actually didn't really work out for the whole 4 months.
Okay.
Excuse me. I didn't really work out for the whole 4 months, and I became less mobile. And like when I squatted, I couldn't squat as low. Things like this, and things just felt really tight. Like my back felt really tight.
Yeah.
So I rolled, and I just started moving. And once you're back into those, movements, like this is why we were talking about squatting just now, and why being able to squat all the way through the motion is important.
Mm-hmm.
That's kind of the only mobility that I need.
Right.
And if I'm able to do that, then that's enough for me.
That's good. Okay. So like you mentioned some of your clients, like you help them with mobility when they need it. Could you maybe talk about like how you've helped some of them with knee injuries or elbow injuries, and like how you help them through that, what you guys like worked on? And
that's a pretty interesting question, because as a personal trainer, of course I'm not qualified to what's the word? I'm not qualified
You're not a physio.
Yeah, I'm not a physiotherapist, right? I'm not qualified to rehab people.
Yeah.
So the people who have come to me, I say, you must have the doctors, the doctors confirm that you're ready to go back to physical activity. You've done the physiotherapy, and the physio says, yes, now you've done like the basic stuff, you can go back to movement. and then it really is about movement. We do, if it's knee, knee, like knee
like
recovery,
an ACL, MCL, yeah.
ACL, something like that. Then we're just looking at moving the knee through the range of motion. Can you get your knee fully straight? Can you get your heel to touch your butt, whether you're lying down or standing or sitting or whatever? Are your legs symmetrical, relatively symmetrical, right? Like they're never going to be perfectly, if you measure it around, never going to be perfectly the same. But if you've got one leg that's super thick and one leg that's kind of thin because you haven't used it after surgery, then that's a problem. So we work on that.
Right.
Then it depends again, like there's like dynamic stuff.
Right.
If it's soccer players, which inevitably it is, again, this is why soccer is, it's about, well, you don't need to just be strong standing up and down. Like it's not just squatting. You want to be able to lunge. You want to be able to jump. You want to have confidence that your knee can cut, from left to right, change direction, all of those things. And we just slowly go through those in a controlled way. And it very much depends on where you are physically and mentally and whether or not you feel confident to do those things. We build the confidence up. It takes months of work, but in a way it's one of the more rewarding things I do because it would allow this person to do this thing that they love so much again, and it would be like a contribution that I make for them to get into that process.
Okay, how do you keep your body healthy?
I work out and I try to eat well.
Pretty easy.
Nothing fancy. I'm lucky in that I don't feel the social or the physical need to drink a lot. I don't drink a lot of alcohol. I would say that I don't eat a lot of like cakes and stuff, but I do like going to McDonald's and things like that. So I just eat McDonald's less, and otherwise, I work out. I try to eat pretty clean, and that's.
Do you follow a diet? I think
No.
you covered that already pretty much.
I just eat simple foods.
What do you do on your rest days?
Today was my day off. I basically spent most of the day just at home, just chilling. I try to
podcasts on your rest day.
My first
Sabrina as well, who came on, was like, it was her rest day as well. It was like, what I do on my podcast. What I do on my rest day is podcast.
This is my first ever podcast.
Nice.
I can't say that. No, I really am just resting. Sometimes there's little things that fall off the end of the week that don't have time to get done, so I go and do a few chores. I try to see if I can meet some friends, but because it's the middle of the week, it's difficult, to necessarily make that happen. Nothing fixed. I really am just chilling.
Right. Nice. Okay. What is your favorite fitness exercise?
I like squatting with the bar. I like the rowing machine. I would love to try things like the Airdyne bike or the assault bike that I've never actually had an opportunity to try. I would say those things probably at the moment are my favorites to do.
Nice. And you mentioned you do a lot of like accessory movements. What are some of those? Like, what are some of your favorite movements with like dumbbells?
Do I have favorites? Lately, I'm into a lot of like single legs.
Favorite. Okay.
Lately, I'm into a lot of single leg stuff. Like,
nice.
Like Bulgarian split squats and stuff because I suck at them. And my friend Derek, who maybe I can introduce you to.
Oh, nice.
Was all about doing single leg stuff and being strong in single leg stuff. So I started to work those into my work because I haven't done them a lot. I've neglected them.
What do you love most about coaching?
I like helping people, and I like teaching. I've been a teacher for basically my whole working life, even though I've not necessarily been in fitness. It's always been teaching, a traditional teaching, what we think of as traditional teaching, personal training, coaching, mentoring, whatever. I just like the idea that I'm helping people. Again, yes, it's great when people want to come and work out. I love that. People just want to be, healthy in their lifestyle. But when someone comes to me and says, I do have, this injury and I'd like to go back and play soccer, then great. Or they say to me that, I've helped them feel better about themselves, not just like aesthetically, but how the aesthetic change impacts them as a person, then, I do enjoy that kind of stuff.
Okay, nice. how have you grown as a coach? Like fully lost, like lost where we were in the thing. I was like, where are we? How have you grown as a coach?
I try to study often.
Yeah. Are there some like materials you can recommend for the audience?
I mentioned precision nutrition. I think it very much so. I realized that just being a certified personal trainer is very much just the entry step into the door. Like it's the basic thing that you need to get to be a personal trainer, obviously. But it gives you so essentially it covers such a small corner of what training is and coaching is. So you have to go away and study, and then so like precision nutrition, like I said, nowadays with the way that like online platforms are, it's so easy to find different information. I was like a really latecomer to Instagram, not as a coach, just as a person. Like I refused to have more social media, but I was like, oh, Instagram, and then I realized that you can follow, fitness people and people using Instagram not just as like Facebook, like socially connecting, but then I would watch people do their powerlifting, and then you follow one fitness thing and it goes to the other, and I would see strength people, and then it became just coaches, like fitness coaches or personal trainers, and a lot of the stuff that I'm saying is basically stuff that I pick up from them.
Yeah.
What I am studying at the moment is a program called Psych Skills for Fitness Professionals.
Okay.
It's by the psychologist wife of a personal trainer.
Okay.
And I mean, it's exactly what it describes, and it's about trying to coach people on the psychological aspect of stuff.
Nice.
That's what I'm doing at the moment.
That's awesome. Yeah, I think there's so much information out there now, and so many information sources, and so many almost essentially opinions on things on the way things should be done. So it's like you got to really find what works for you.
And just before we go on,
I
think another thing, like how do you grow as a coach, is experience and maybe age, maturity.
Right.
Don't know if I ever used that word about myself,
but
just the idea that you've seen a lot more things, you have a lot more perspective on stuff.
Right.
When you're young, it would have been easy for me to say, and I have said you have to barbell train.
Right.
And I know I lost a client that way. Like she wasn't into it. She was like, what is going on?
Yeah.
And I was like really into that like ideology of like barbell is the way. So then to become a bit older and to become a bit more flexible and to say like there's lots of different ways to achieve the same goal. And just to be a bit older to have perspectives that what works for me doesn't necessarily work for someone else, and I can say you can do things this way. Don't drink.
Right.
Don't drink is always an easy one.
Yeah.
But people enjoy drinking, and why not? Because more than the drinking, it's like the social aspect.
Right.
So yeah, part of it is just perspective.
Right.
Age.
How long should one work out for?
A little bit longer than no, that's not the correct answer. If you're doing no workout at all, honestly, like just a little bit longer. If you do literally zero, minutes of exercise, like concentrated or dedicated exercise in a day, just do 2 30-minute walks in a week is great. That's good. Already 1 hour more workout than. But when I go in the gym, I try to do like 45 minutes to 60 minutes.
Nice.
Reasonable, like decent intensity, whatever that means for the person that we're talking about. Decent intensity of exercise, you get it done, it fits nicely into your schedule. If you are a college student coming back and you really do have like 2-3 hours to spend in the gym and you love it, then why not?
Why not? I like how you keep it very relative to like where people are at and like who they are, and like kind of like relative to just mentioning and focusing on the fact that they should just progress more than anything from like where they are and focus more on that. I think that's like a good point.
Yeah, I think so as well. How
can I increase lean muscle mass?
Protein.
How can one?
Yes, how can one? Lean. Sorry, not lean. Well, yes, protein. But then we're having a whole other conversation about foods and things like that. Protein, not having so much processed food, just being aware of like where you are, not you again, but where one is with their junk food intake, processed food intake, alcohol intake for sure. Things that I think nowadays as a society, we know that those things are not good for us, right? Like McDonald's is super caloric. I know that. Everybody knows that, but people still go there. So then it's not a case of don't go there. It's how can you manage that to become leaner? And you have to train, you know. And I think I did a share of a post. I'm not going to claim the credit for this post, but I did a share of a post of a guy who recently said that the people that you follow online who look super fit, whether it's their schedule or their job or whatever it is, they give a lot of their time to looking super fit, right? Yeah. Like you're like, you know, the easiest the easiest yeah, and it definitely reflects. The easiest example that I can give, and it's the one that I shared, was people say that I want to look like Cristiano Ronaldo. But Cristiano Ronaldo is like not even 1%, right? He is generationally unique.
Yeah, he's an outlier.
Right? And people say, I want to look like him. Like, you don't understand. Like, you need to understand what he does to look like that. Yeah. He doesn't drink. He's all about his fitness and his health and blah, blah, blah. But it's not like, okay, like, I want to be able to give that amount of time to look like that. But can you actually do that if you have?
I think you can. If you put in the effort and the time, I think like you can pretty much achieve whatever body you want. Especially if you're willing to like dedicate like the time and then sacrifice on the other side, like those elements that you mentioned.
Yeah, absolutely. I think you definitely can do it, but there is definitely the recognition that I am sacrificing.
Yeah.
I am changing the way that I eat and live my life totally. Yeah. And if my friends say to me, "Oh, we want to go out on Friday night and party," or we're all just gonna go and eat like a Pizza Express and you know, on a casual Wednesday afternoon. Wednesday evening, you're going to say no to all those things. Yeah. And are you really willing to give up the social and the kind of, you know, the social aspect of it? And if you work in an office from 9 to 6 or 7,
not easy.
Do you really then want to go spend the rest of your evening time meal prepping, training in the gym, blah, blah, blah? It's very difficult.
Yeah, it comes down to like, essentially, do you want what you want for you, right? Like how bad you want it, essentially.
and how bad you can give it.
Yeah.
Like, you know, I think a lot of people want it. Like you look at it and you go, yeah, I want that. But I say like you need to give X number of hours to it. You need to give X amount of like training and meal prepping and stuff. But if someone says, even at our like relatively younger age, I'm not so old that I can't train that number of hours. But I have to work. Yeah. I have to go and like train my clients and do for my clients, and I have to, you know, and there is like social stuff, family stuff, and then people have kids, and then the kids disrupt, you know, the process.
Yeah.
And you can't say to your kid like, no, sorry, I don't have time for you, right? Yeah. I'm chasing my Cristiano Ronaldo bod. Yeah.
Yeah. Comes like I think person to person. You know, it's very different.
But the basic stuff, how can I increase lean mass protein? A little bit more workout, managing the processed foods.
Yeah. Okay, this last one's always super deep. What excites you about life?
Well, at the moment, I've just kind of come back to full-time coaching. I did 7 years working at a college, which I really enjoyed. I really enjoy the meeting with the students and interacting with the students. I got a lot out of it. But I spent the last couple of years slowly building up personal training and coming back into this field. And
what made you make that switch?
I think that I like teaching, but I don't think teaching English was it for me. As much as I enjoyed the interaction with the students, I didn't connect with the material in a way that I was ever going to progress. Basically, they wanted me to have a PhD in like English language studies or something like that to continue, and I couldn't see myself doing that, so I just had to pivot away. And this is what I really do like.
Right.
Like if you give me a free week, I will still be in the gym.
Right.
I will not be doing English stuff for sure. I will not be studying English stuff. So what is exciting for me at the moment is that I am, looking into how I can do more in the fitness field. And yeah, I think that just
Nice.
that at the moment.
That's a good answer. Yeah, so kind of wrapping it up. Thanks for coming. Appreciate
Thank you too.
kind of the taking out the time to come
Yes.
down today. Hey guys, so yeah, the battery died on the outro, but thanks for coming again.
Thank you.
Great chat as always. And do you want to give your socials?
Yeah, I'm on Instagram only at Bryan D. .resilienthk. Bryan with a Y, BRYAND. .resilienthk.
Thanks for joining us again on episode 6. Yep. See you. Bye bye.
Thanks, guys. Take care. Thank you, man.
Awesome. Cheers, bro. It was a good one.
Thank you, man.